Well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. What do you think?
Please.
And anything else that we missed while you're asking your questions, I'll go ahead and put them in the chat if I find anything else that needs to be there, and maybe even on our upcoming subject. So we have Renee Andreassen here today. She is the project manager at GLA West LA VA. Man, that's a lot of stuff to say.
Yes,
Usually it just runs right off my tongue. There she is. There she is. And speaking of VA West LA, we have our guest today, Renee Andreassen. And again, her title is Women's Health Program Manager. Now, again, we don't do any gotcha questions on this show at all. This is completely conversational about what there might be, any needs or anything in the women's clinic. And Renee, I want to thank you for coming and doing the show today. How are you? We're going to have to fix the microphone too.
I think you're on mute, Renee.
Well, that happens on every Zoom I've ever been on. So
exactly.
There's nothing new there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, of course. I mean, what a common thing to have happen.
I got 3 computers going here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for explaining that. No, you're just fine. You're wonderful. So now, thank you for coming to the show. I'll start over.
Well, thank you for having me. I don't give up football for much.
There we go. Let's go, Dodgers.
That's right. There you go. There you go. That's the way. Now, the most important question that I want to ask here is, whenever I write Women's Health Clinic, where the heck does the comma go? I mean, I suspect, you're in a position to know all these things. So I wanted to ask you about it. And all the women, you put a comma in there, you got this comma, and then, and comma down the page. I finally just put a comma anywhere on the page, and that way when somebody needs one to write with, they just put it in there wherever it belongs. But what do you even say? You got the GLA WHC, that's the Greater Los Angeles Women's Health Clinic versus the VA Women's Health Clinic versus the Veterans Women's Health Clinic. I guess you just kind of look at the sign and just kind of call it whatever it is there if you recognize it. But where does that comma go? I mean, seriously, can you clear that up for me?
Apostrophe.
What are you saying?
Apostrophe.
Oh, it's an apostrophe. Well, does it go? Does that? I'm embarrassed. Does the apostrophe go before the S or after the S? I mean, is it all women or just the one woman?
Before
the S. So women and apostrophe S on everything. Okay, well, I just, I keep trying to fix it somehow. But anyway, all right,
Washington is the one that writes it up.
Oh, Washington.
He just put it up.
See there. That's it right there. Okay, so Renee, tell me, how long have you worked at the VA?
I've actually been at the VA for 17 years.
17. Oh.
Yeah. I did 2 years as a contract worker, and then I've been a permanent employee for 15 years.
Now, do you drive to the VA on the 405 every day? Because I can't imagine that you're in a very good mood once you do that.
As soon as I get off the 405, I feel great. I think the only good thing about COVID, when it first came out, the 405 was empty. But, things are back. And, as soon as I get off on Wilshire, I'm where I need to be.
That's true. That's true. Now, do you just work at VA West LA? Or, see, I know that Greater Los Angeles area has what they call CBOCs. Nicholas, what are we calling CBOCs? I forgot again.
Community-based outpatient clinics?
Yeah, that's right. So you got a medical center, and then you've got CBOCs. And do you actually physically have offices at Sepulveda Ambulatory Care Center? Do you just drive over there and have meetings with people in that clinic? Tell me how that works.
So actually, we have the main medical center, which is at West LA. Then we have 2 ambulatory care centers, which is at Sepulveda and downtown. And then the rest of the
Street,
sites,
right? Temple Street.
Huh? Yeah.
Temple Street. Yeah.
The
Okay.
rest of the sites are the C-Box. So in total, we have 11 different sites.
Really?
Every site has designated women's health providers. And before COVID, I actually would I'd make my rounds to all sites and make sure that my presence was known, let the staff know like what was going on with women's health, that everything was up to date. They had the latest brochures, whatever campaigns we were doing, whether if it's the flu shot or, breast cancer awareness or whatever. So my job actually is to be over all things women in the VA. So it's the Women's Veteran Program Manager. So it's just not health. It's all things women veterans.
Oh, okay. So then Executive Director Tess Banco.
Oh yeah.
Oh well. See now.
And for her thinking she looked bad the other day, if I looked that bad, I'd be doing good. No.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
And she's a wonderful human being. And
Yeah,
she does a lot of good things for the veterans.
I don't know why Nicholas doesn't like her, but I do. I mean,
Well, Nicholas has his own fan club, so he can be picky.
I think that Tess Banco is a fan of Nicholas's too. So don't even.
We'll wait for the next email to come in.
So Tess Banco travels around to these different locations as well, I understand. And so she drives down that freeway, so when there's a lot of traffic, you might just see her and wave and roll your window down. You could have a VA meeting right out there on the 10 or the 405 or whatever. So,
I'm going to tell you, in LA, you'd be surprised what you see on the 405 and the 10 and all of them. But
you want to close your eyes, but you got to drive. No,
well, no, you do actually see a lot of people. It's amazing.
Well, even if you don't know them, you're going to get to know them because you're going to see them every single day because they probably drive to work about the same time. So
exactly, I always say I spend an hour and a half to an hour, with 10,000 of my best friends.
10,000. Yeah, that 405 is a monster. It's crazy. Yeah, it's true.
Something else.
So on the Voice of the Veteran show, we tell the audience like everything. I mean, we just kind of spit it out there. We're just conversational about the issues and whatever else. So just so people know, I'm a board member on the hospital CVEB, which is the Community Veterans Engagement Board. And as I'm the chair of the Women's Health Subcommittee for the hospital. And so you and I have had many, many discussions about various issues in the women's clinic and the VA directive for Model 3 staffing of the women's clinic. Now, I've read that VA directive and I'm versed on the subject. And actually, I'd love to get an HR person in here on the show maybe and, have a conversation with them about that issue, Model 3 staffing. And could you please tell our audience your thoughts on staffing a hub or the teamwork concept of the women's clinic? And what do we want? We get like 4 doctors and 2 PAs and 4 nurses and a partridge in a pear tree. I mean, what exactly is it that, I don't know, is it that is required to have up and running women's clinic at a place like one of the largest VA facilities in the nation? Just Talk to us a little bit about that,
So I can kind of put it into perspective.
please.
We actually have 2 comprehensive women's health clinics, which are all inclusive for women's health. They're separate. They're not put in with regular PAC teams.
Are you talking about Sepulveda and West LA?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we have those 2. And then all the other clinics are pretty much Model 1 or Model 2, which means that they are integrated into regular primary care PAC teams.
And a PAC team is what? Just so that we don't talk about letters too much. Do you remember what it stands for? Because I'm sitting here struggling my own self trying to patient.
I actually don't. I got to say, I can get back.
You know what it is, Nicholas?
Patient. What? I didn't know.
Google.
Google.
Yeah, Google. Can you? I don't know if he can. But I don't know if I look that up because that's something that we all should know and none of us does. You know, we just call them PAC teams because that's what we call them.
PAC teams.
Yeah.
I'll check that out for us. Renee, I was going to ask, the producer is asking me to please ask you to please scoot up a little closer so we can hear you a little better.
Very. Now watch the other technical calamity happen as a result.
Thank you so much.
I swear.
So everything falls.
I know it. Don't do it. And then the cat will run through and that'll be the end of her interview. That's right.
Let me hold that up.
All right. So Model 3 staffing. So this is a VA directive, and this isn't a comment that you need to, I just want to say this, but it isn't something you need to comment on because I don't know all the politics of this. But it frustrates me as a veteran to read the directive, the VA directive, and then have changes not supported at the VISN level is what I feel frustrated about. And something that I know you probably can't even comment on that. And I'm not asking you to. I'm just simply saying that that's something that on this show, I want to bring up the fact that we have a VA directive for Model 3 staffing for a women's clinic in a facility like VA West Los Angeles. And
it's not
I
so
just
much
want it supported. I don't want to complain about it, Renee. I just want it supported, for God's sake. You know?
I understand, but it's not so much the Model 3 clinic as opposed to what an actual PAC team is. It's right now. So a PAC team, you have your primary care provider, then you have an RN, then you have an LVN,
Right.
then you have a health tech, then there's a social worker, then there's a mental health professional, and then there's an MSA. And that's what a PAC team consists of.
And excuse me, PAC team is patient aligned care team.
Patient aligned care team. Well, that's exactly what we're clearly talking about. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you so much. Jeez.
So we have that at pretty much every site except for the comprehensive women's health clinics at West LA and Sepulveda. At those sites, we have multiple providers that come through there. And then we have our MSAs, we have a nurse and an LVN and a health tech.
Okay.
And so for as large as those clinics are, there would be some things that would be that we would really have to look at to see how that model would work in that environment. So this is something that we're actually looking into right now.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Batuman and myself and Dr. Simon,
she's one of my faves,
and Dr. Page, and we're all looking to see if this is something that we can actually put in those comprehensive clinics, like if that model would actually fit in there.
Okay. All right.
And if that would be more effective and more patient-centered.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well,
so
that's what a thought, huh?
Well, I mean, it's in discussion, and everybody's aware of it, and we are looking into it because we really, I mean, at all other 8 sites we have that model. We just don't have it at the 2 sites. So, I want to see, and we have to look at like how many patients we have, and is that going to work out? And because some people are just there for some providers are there for a couple of hours, some providers are there just part-time, then you have a full-time, and so we have to just like work it out to see what actually is going to meet the needs of the female veterans best and be the most efficient to make sure that they get the services they need.
And that's what we're going to talk about in the next few questions too with Nicholas, the things that are actually ready to be started and stuff. But I don't want to start in on that. I want to say that my co-host, Nicholas, is a new board member of the CVAB at the hospital. And I know that he has some general questions to ask. But my final question is approximately, and I don't know where this information would even come from, but approximately between the 3 clinics or individually or however you wish to state it, how many women are served at the VA? And I could be more direct and tighter about that, but just say whatever it is that you want to say on that subject.
Okay, so we have 11 sites, and at all 11 sites are mandated to have at least 2 designated women's health providers. So in all, we have close to 10,000 women veterans enrolled, and this is from San Luis Obispo all the way down to, Long Beach is our cutoff area.
So you're talking about Vision 23?
No, Long Beach is Vision 22. GLA has its own catchment area, and it's
See, this is
25,000 miles. It goes from San Luis Obispo to Bakersfield, all down the coast.
Which is why I couldn't be specific in a question, because seriously.
No, it's huge. It's huge. So with those 11 sites, we have 10,000 women enrolled. And out of those 10,000 women enrolled, we actually have 8,000 that are actually utilizing the, and that's approximate numbers.
Yeah.
VA services.
Yeah.
So, and with the way things are going with people coming back from the service and the younger generation, I'm expecting, women veterans are the fastest growing population in the VA. So those numbers are going to rise.
Huh. Interesting. Good. Really great answer to a difficult question, and I appreciate it. It's not something you can just say, oh, there are 50,000 women in the... No. So I'm going to hand you off to Nicholas and let him ask some questions, just about the structure and the reasons that we have VA, women's clinics and stuff.
Yes, that was really informational. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Renee.
Hey, Nicholas.
Hey, how you doing? Let's go Dodgers. I can't say it enough.
My son got me this shirt. So
that's a beautiful shirt. Yeah, we feel that strongly out here.
So I got all my hats, but
Oh yeah.
I can't wear everything on the show.
No, I'm glad to have some company with the shirt today. I'm an Air Force veteran. Clearly, my ASVAB score as an air traffic controller is something I'm proud of. But I do have to ask my first question, which is, I was just thinking that we're all veterans, and in the military, we were all together. Why is a separate VA's women's clinic necessary?
Okay, so the reason that we have the 2 comprehensive women's health clinics, and we're actually working on a 3rd at the downtown clinic, is because it's a one-stop shop for women. So they can come into that clinic and get not only their primary care, they can get GYN, they can get pharmacy, they can get nutrition, mental health, social work services. So it's kind of, I wish I could do that at my doctor's office.
Right.
It's like if I go to my doctor, it's like, you got to go over here to do this and that and blah. So these comprehensive clinics are really valuable. And the women really appreciate the fact that they have a space that's their own and they can deal with all of their stuff in one location. And we're very, very lucky that we actually have two of those. A lot of VISNs and a lot of facilities do not. So GLA as a whole is very lucky that we have that. We are working with the leadership on the downtown clinic, because the way it's set up, if we just add a certain amount of staff to provide a certain amount of services, like, incorporate GYN and mental health, and have that all in that one area, because they already have their own separate waiting room, then we'd have 3 of those clinics. And I can't tell you, with all the women that I talk to, how much they really appreciate having their own space. They feel like they're welcome. They feel like the VA appreciates them. Anything they need, we can give it to them there, right there, whether if it's, assistance with housing, or, I'm having some mental health issues. We've got that right there. Hey, can I get a flu shot? Yes, you can right now. So they feel like that's their home, and they treat it that way when they come in. You can see that they appreciate it. The staff know them. They know the staff, and it's really a nice setup.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. That's amazing stuff. Thank you so much for all you're doing and all the work that's being done out there. That's encouraging. I had another question, and I was just wondering, is there a harassment problem at the hospital? And if so, what can we do to support your efforts and any MST issues for both women and men?
So I think the issue of harassment is not just a GLA issue. It's a national issue. And honestly, it's a world issue with women. And so Women's Health Services has taken on campaigns to address this issue and educate not only the veterans, but the staff, leadership, and all people involved on, and it's not just against women, it's against men too. And so this has been a campaign that has been ongoing. We're getting into bystander training, which is, if you're a bystander and you see this happening, like, how do you actually address this and not make the situation worse? So like I said, it's not just greater Los Angeles. And I gotta really say, in the 17 years that I've been there, I have seen a huge difference in the amount of attention that leadership has taken to change the culture, because that's what it is. It's a change in culture. And right down to this minute, if you walked into my office, you would see all the stuff I have that goes out to every clinic and goes out to everywhere, community colleges when they were open, and it addresses this on changing the culture so that women feel like, yes, they are veterans, yes, this is their facility, and yes, they are welcome, and no, they don't need to be discriminated against. But again, you did mention MST. MST is not just a women's issue, it's also a male issue. So we do have MST coordinator, and everybody knows who that person is. We have multiple providers that specialize in MST treatment and PTSD treatment. And, we partner also with the vet centers, because they also are part of the VA and provide treatment for MST and PTSD. So it just kind of depends on where the veteran feels most comfortable getting their treatment. But, you were in the military. I'm sure things happen. And the VA is very aware, and we're very proactive on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Renee. I was also going to ask you. I might travel a little quickly just due to time and trying to get as much information in as possible because this is absolutely necessary. I wanted to ask, how do you make an appointment within the WHC?
So it kind of depends on where the woman's at. You can go into any VA, enroll. I mean, if you're fresh and to get into the system, you enroll. When you enroll, you tell them while you're enrolling, every woman is supposed to have a designated women's health provider. And like I said earlier, every center, every site has at least 2 designated women's health providers. So at that point, the woman says, I want to be assigned to a designated women's health provider. And she is allowed to have that happen. And that is, those providers are trained so well, and specifically women's health issues, that's who we want serving our women veterans.
Yes, thank you. I understand that the Women's Health Clinic has transitioning veterans. I just wanted to ask for our audience to know how might they access care and how are they accommodated for their comfort?
So are you talking about like transitioning from active duty to getting out?
That's my understanding at this time. That yes, I guess.
Hey, no, I'm talking about people changing to a different gender. However, we can't get into that because we've only got a few minutes left. Maybe Renee can mention something about it. Transitioning, of course, sounds like from the military to civilian life, and I understand it, but that's why I was throwing up the flag.
Y'all, I'm sorry.
So just really quick.
Yeah.
Any veteran that decides to declare themselves a woman, they are entitled to all women's services, and they will be treated as a woman. It's how you identify yourself, male, female, whatever. It doesn't actually matter what you were born as. It's what you have decided, and you will get treated that way, and you're entitled to the same services as any other person. And if we want to talk about women, if there's people that are transitioning into being a female, they are addressed as Miss, she, her, and however
or they or them.
However she wants to be identified as.
Yeah.
That is respected.
Okay.
And they absolutely can use whatever clinic they want.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, I think that as a female veteran in that clinic, I'm happy to know that so that it isn't a surprise. However, I understand people's privacy as well. But I'm talking about not knowing about them, but knowing that those services are being provided just so that I don't do something stupid and hurt somebody's feelings. I mean, my gosh, I don't think I ever would. But I mean, at the VA, I mean, we're known for popping off and saying the damnedest things at the damnedest times. And so I would not want that. So
really, Gail?
Information's important. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, really? Like, people might like just to spout off and say things?
Yeah. Now, see, I want to start wrapping this up, but don't let Renee go because we're just going to end the show with her on here as well.
Okay.
But you know what? I mean, I've absolutely enjoyed this, and I don't know what it is, Nicholas. I don't know if we need 3 subjects on a show because when we get somebody like Renee on here just listening, and it happened with the ornaments and service dogs, it happened with Tess Banco. I mean, we just can't get enough information, from these people when we get to ask them specific questions. What we want to know.
How fortunate we are! It's a great problem to have, and I hope Renee would consider coming back and discussing more about this with us.
That's right. That's right.
I absolutely would like to come back as many times as you want.
Oh, good.
Because I have seen in the 17 years that I've been at the VA, just the struggles and the changes that have gone on for women veterans to be recognized.
Yeah.
And now that the leadership and Congress and everybody is involved in this. I want to promote this as much as possible. I want females to come to the VA. I honestly believe that we do provide the best care in the United States. I think we have the very best care.
Well, there's a pitch for the VA. Jeez. Your salary. I'm telling you. No, and I do as well. And like I said, I'm the chair of the Women's Health Committee for the CVEB for the hospital, and I want to promote this. I want to promote everything for all veterans. But this has been something that we were never even, when they remodeled all the men's clinics and everything, they didn't even remodel the women's clinics. And how many years ago was that? And now, I'm still trying to get them to put a sledgehammer through the wall. I mean, I flat out told them that in meetings, that, Renee, put a sledgehammer through the wall and make it bigger. Go down that way.
No, I heard you. I was at the meeting.
That's right. Okay.
I was at my meeting.
That was your meeting. I know. I'm an ad hoc at that meeting.
We'll get there. And my dream is that one day we'll have a whole building that's just for women's health.
Well, I've drawn that plan up several times.
Because that would show that we really do honor our female veterans and the service that they've provided. I personally did not serve, but everybody in my family has, and in all branches. So I can't say woo to one and woo not to the other. How I feel is me going to work is me doing my part as my family has done their part.
Yeah. So, well, see, that's good. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, since I do have your commitment now to come back at another time when you don't have to use 3 computers and you know how the show works and everything, and we'll have you back because I want to wrap this up with my co-host Nicholas Cormier III. We are out of time for this week.